Hello and welcome to our podcast called Wormhole Pinball Presents. My name is Jamie Burchell, and today I am joined by Wisconsin's one and only Rachel Ristow. How are you, Rachel?
I am great. How are you, Jamie?
I'm really good. Welcome to the Wormhole virtually. You were here in Houston in 2022. It's the first time I met you, and
Yes.
we were in the tournament room at Space City, and you were handing out cheese curds. Do you remember that? I doubt you do.
It was no problem for me to fly with 5 pounds of cheese curds, so that was good. Uh,
They were
yeah,
pretty darn good. I'm not going to lie to you. They were really good.
yeah. Well, I'm planning on coming down there again this year in 2024. So
Oh,
I my room. So now I'm just waiting for the tournaments to open so I can get registered and come down again. That was the best. It's still to date, I think, and I've done a lot of traveling pinball stuff, but I still think to date that was the best expo they've been to.
oh,
So
wow. Thank you so much. Are you going to TPF this year too?
nope, I am not.
Okay.
Part of that is the style of tournament and the amount of people that are there. I'd like to experience it at some point, but it's not this year.
No problem. No, no,
Yeah,
no. I'm so glad you're coming to Houston again. It is a blast, right? I mean, the expo itself is a blast, and then the tournament's really great. We had a really phenomenal Wesley Johnson won in 2023, and that turned out really great. And we were all yelling, and then they partied all night and stayed for the women's finals the next morning. So it's fun.
right.
Yeah,
It's a nonstop party. And when I talk about it, I tell people, I'm like, this is a show where you can get a tattoo at. It's a show that has live music, that has a band or DJs. They have their yacht rock midnight toast. I don't know if they still do that, but I
oh
was there.
yeah,
It's like a traditional thing. They bring in is it Denny's or IHOP? Is it IHOP?
yeah. Last year was Denny's.
So they
Brought in, I think, 25 or 30 Grand Slams or something even more than that.
have at like 3 in the morning or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's really it's like a festival more than an expo is a great way to describe it. And the reason, not only just that, outside the pinball and all of that, the people in Texas when I was down there were like the nicest folks ever. Just so warm and inviting. And you invited me come onto the stream. That was so cool.
Yeah, I think we have a really good vibe here in Houston. I think the pinball community has a pretty good vibe. Um, but in Houston, our patriarchs and matriarchs that run the Houston Arcade Expo and that run Space City Pinball, we just have this no jerk policy here, and we really implement it, especially at the Wormhole. Because last time you were here, we couldn't get you in. We did. So people that don't know, when you come to Houston, you don't want to just come for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday Space
Right.
City. You really want to try to get there for half the week at least, because it's called the Week of Whoppers. And we have this Burger King head that's at the Wormhole. And if you come to the Wormhole, you'll see the Burger King head. We have a McDonald's and a Burger King and something else on the way. And these were helium tubes when you would fill the McDonald's, you fill a balloon at McDonald's at the
Sure.
playroom in the back, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
we have these things at the Wormhole because why not, right? And so for the week of Whoppers, which starts here, it's usually a 4X here and then goes all the way throughout the city. You didn't have a chance to come to the Wormhole that time. So try, and this time I'll even open it up for you. You just come.
Oh, I'd be so excited because I've seen photos. I think the Wormhole did it recently hosted Women's State, correct?
That's right.
And
You did.
okay, it's so awesome. So I saw a couple other photos finally, really of the inside of it, and it really looks like an amazing place. So I would be so honored to be able to make it there. I did play a warm up tournament last year, or whatever you wanted to call it, I guess, during the week of Whoppers, but that was so exciting. So I have been looking at that again for this week and looking at the different things and I'm really trying to carefully calculate my vacation time. So
Awesome.
I down there and play like I like to play that Wednesday or Thursday night too, if I can,
Yeah.
because it's a great opportunity, especially for the competitive player. It's almost like this undisclosed little secret, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
It
Because I
really
mean,
is. The week of Whoppers is really cool.
Yeah. Who else? I mean, I know like because if people know me, I play at a lot of District 82. And
Hmm.
so that are big tournament events, a lot of tournaments in a short amount of time sometimes, or 4 days or maybe five, but it's never anything more than that. So to have like basically everybody come together and create, I don't know, 7 days worth of, it's got to be, right? 7 days worth of tournaments. That's amazing. So I think it's just such a cool opportunity and I can't wait to come play. I wish I could come spend the whole week there, but I
Oh,
also have to
no.
go too, you know?
We got to work. I mean, we got to work. We got things we got to do.
Right.
Uh, so you do travel a lot for competitive pinball. I mean, let's start with the origin story, right? Like, I like to start. How did you get into this crazy world that's competitive pinball? And you could sprinkle in when you started playing regular.
Sure. Well, the first time, well, like the pinball origin story is that my first pinball machine that I ever played, I was 12 or 13. I was on roller skates at my local skating rink called Big Wheel, and it was the Adams Family. So that is a Grail game, and that is a game that anytime I see it, I want to play it. But as far as the competitive side of it, I kind of forgot about pinball until we had a Doctor Who at the local arcade. There was a Fishtails that I played at the campground, things like that. Kind of forgot about it, and then I went to Columbus, Ohio to visit my cousin Amy Custing that lives out there, who's a competitive player. And she had a couple of games in her record shop and at home. And we talked about it, we played a little bit. And I really had such a fun time that when I came back here, she's like, well, if you're really interested, there's this place called Titletown Pinball that opened in the Green Bay area, and you should go check it out. And so I did. And that was in September of 2019. And I walked in there and I have not left. I mean, I have left, but it just was unbelievable just to that place is incredible. If people have not made the trek there, it's really worth it. And I'm always happy to help people like to plan their trip for XYZ because it's in a weird location in the state in order to get to all of that. Lest I digress. So, District 82 is just such a beautiful place to play. The games play unbelievable, but it's not just that, right? It's not just the never-ending puzzle that pinball is. It's also about the people. And we've talked about community before, and the community at District 82 is fantastic. And I find that I'm like, so if we've got this going on here at District 82, and this is great, we're friends. We're like a pin family. It's amazing. Like, I've hung out with some of the ladies and fellas too outside of pinball. We didn't play pinball. We go and do other things too. You can as I'm gonna make like a little sidetrack here that as an
No
adult,
worries.
fantastic way to meet new people is to pick up a hobby. And I always suggest pinball when I have friends and they're like, I haven't met anybody new in a while. And I'm like, well, you should come along to a pinball tournament with me. You'll meet crazy misfits and weirdos and lovely people. Just you wait.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. And most, if not all of them, are so welcoming to all of our differences that I love it. I really do. Very rarely do we get that person that's well, we just don't have the jerk policy,
no,
there's no need for it. Not in pinball. We're having fun, right?
and I think that there's also sometimes a trend of people that they get on the negative bandwagon about X, Y, and Z in pinball, and that's not good either because why? I mean, I don't have that kind of energy. I
No,
just
I don't either. As you are a also a content creator, we'll get into that, but we don't. I don't like to spew anything negative, really, because I'm not really a negative person. One and two, there's just so many great things about what we're doing and what's going on in the community that I'd rather not spend any time on anything really negative.
I agree. Anyways, that's really excuse me to answer that question. That really is the way that I got into the hobby is via my cousin and with her encouragement. But it was really just, again, the people were so kind. Eric Thorne and Tom Graff and Eric Strangeway, the very first day I was there, I met them and they were so nice. And also Beth Trafka and Tara Henjum and the women that I've been playing, you know, District 82 is special, just like I think so many pinball communities are. But it has been the same core of like 40 to 45 people that have been playing forever together. And I think that's such a special thing too. I don't know. I think it makes you a better player as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll talk about that. Hold on a second here. You've only been playing since 2019?
Since 2019, that's right.
Have it in my notes here. You are 505th in the world
As of today.
as of today, because I looked today. I looked today, and then 116th in the ladies and the women's.
Yeah, and which is that's great. I wish my women's rank was higher, but as I run women's pinball stuff, I often don't play it, or am just not so focused. It's very hard
I
to
think it's
focus.
tough. I think it's tough to TD and play. I don't TD,
Or
so I have no idea. But commentate and play is also very, very difficult.
yeah,
That's
that is.
my excuse. That's my excuse, Rachel, of why I'm 2,400 or 2,500.
Uh, no, I'm really happy though, even though that's my women's rank, and I know if I wanted to improve it, I could. But my overall rank at 505 today, that feels really good, especially with the new Whopper version that came out in January of 2024. That it's you're only your top 15 tournaments and your Whopper efficiency and everything that ties into that. I'm really happy that I'm still right there around the 500 mark. But I will say, I am much more proud of one other fact about my pinball stuff. It's hard for me to say stuff like that, but here I go.
Come
I'm
on.
really, yeah, I'm really excited because I ended 2023 as 12th woman overall in open division. So that helped me punch my ticket to go play Women's World Championship in March. And that to me, being able to, I played it the year before. And this year, I feel like I'm a much more experienced player. I have better skills. I've developed better skills. I have better knowledge. Again, it's like an upgrade sometimes in playing pinball.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so I'm more excited about being 12th woman overall in the world and working towards being a single digit. Uh, I think that'd be a cool goal too. It's tough. The women that play, they are a bunch of badasses.
Holy
You know,
moly.
competitive level. You know,
They're not just great women players. They're great players.
oh,
You guys are great players.
absolutely. Well, I'm talking about the other women that are in the open division with me.
Oh,
Like it's
okay.
hard for me to improve my rank because the other players that I'm playing against are so freaking good. So that's why I meant that.
No, no,
But
no. What do you attribute your steady, you know, from going from starting to 505 in the world? Like, what was the aha moment in your pinball competitive world that kind of went, okay, if I dead bounce more, if I really concentrate on looking at these shots, or what was the skill set that kind of helped you? Nudging, what was it? Or all the other?
I think it's twofold. We'll talk about the nudging and skills, yes, but I think the first thing is all of the commentary I do for Fox Cities Pinball Stream. That is the number one thing that I think has made me be a better player because I've learned more about games, about the rule set of games, not only but figuring out how people watching other people nudge a game, watching other people choose to let the ball come all the way around the orbit, come hit the bottom of the flipper and just pops over to the other, and they're so trustworthy, learning things like that. So I think that's the number one thing that really has helped my play, especially in the last 2 years, is the time that I've spent in the booth at District 82. And I think that it's when I'm in the booth, it's a much more, and maybe this is the same for you, Jamie, where I feel like I absorb information more when I'm sitting there in the hot seat versus me sitting at home watching the stream. Same?
Absolutely. 100%. I just have not been able to twofold. Here's my problem. I haven't been able to take that knowledge and really put up better scores on the tournaments. And also, I like doing this much more, so I don't practice that.
Hey,
Okay, so like I'll fool around, and I do I ever want to get in the top 1,000? I just don't see me putting in the time to be able to do that, truthfully. I just really love this. And in between rounds, I'm messing with these things and these axons and all this.
I understand. It's a huge distraction while they're trying to play. So when Tom wins things, or he comes in like fourth at big events or something, I'm so stoked for him because I know how difficult it is. I'm so glad that I can be there. It's like the Super Series. I'm so glad that I can be in the booth so he can, even if he's moving the rig, that's all he's doing is moving the rig or telling me the game. And then I'm doing the rest of the stuff so that he can go play. And I like doing that because he deserves to play as a player as well. So anyway, so Fox Cities Pinball Stream. If you don't know it, go find it.
Oh my gosh, you guys are the goats. You and IE. I mean, it's you, IE, and JDL. That's what and now I've done it. I've gotten the three of you on, and I can rest now. I don't have to do any
Oh,
more podcasts anymore. I finally got Fox Cities, IE Pinball,
yeah.
and JDL, who I adore. JDL, man, they are the nicest people over in Germany.
I met them at the UK Open, and then I ran into them somewhere else too before that. But yeah, what one wonderful people, so nice, and funny. They're both very witty and
Oh
funny.
yeah, very witty. Go
So
ahead.
I was going to say I was going to answer because it's a twofold question. So the
Oh
other
yeah, it
thing,
was.
yeah, the skills, yes, the nudging definitely has gotten better in terms of I figure based on a modern or classic, I nudge games differently. I've noticed. And then the other thing, like you said, is the dead bounce. I have tried so hard. That was my number one goal in 2023 is to just put that trust into it. And I can't tell you how many times I got screwed by the knuckle.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
right and it slides down and it's like but that's always something I learned for the next game. So the dead bounce control and controlling chaos that way, that's been a huge game changer for me as well.
It's the trust that you said. It's the
Yeah.
and then it's not only learning when to dead bounce, it's learning when not to, and learning which gene says to you, nope. Creature of the Black Lagoon, that dead bounce coming from Move Your Car was one of my first aha moments. That weren't the one we had here would bounce off the right flipper. I could trap it on the left, and I could move cars all day. And but it was that trust. It was not to flip the right flipper, let it do its bounce, and oof,
Yeah,
it,
it's cool. And how much that opened my game up. And then I was having longer ball times and really being able to, take the breath and take the shot because now I've got the ball trapped, things like that. So yeah, it's crazy. Think back about if people that have known me since the beginning of Pinball Rachel, talk about myself in third person, they would say, and there's a reason why my name is Rach Tilt. That's my screen name and yada yada. Is because when I first started playing, I didn't realize that there was this finesse of that. And so I felt like the nudging and everything had to be much harder in order to grab things under control. And now my nudging has I did tilt last night, District F tilt on Tuesday, but that was on me, biz demolition man and whatever. Wasn't much bonus, it's not a big deal. But I tilt less. And so I think that it's finding the finesse of that nudge has been a really big part of it as well.
that's awesome advice for people. And every time I have a great player like yourself,
Oh yeah.
especially someone that has really, they get the aha moments, if you will. I always want to pick your brain and say, hey, what was the aha for it? Was it nudging? Was it bouncing? Was it a combination? So thank you.
Yeah.
I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Uh,
Yeah.
so you travel a lot for pinball, like we were talking about earlier. Let's talk some spots that you've been to and that you really loved and want to get back to. Have you been to the VFW? I have not.
In Michigan,
Yeah.
I have not. I was actually just there this past weekend and I played, is it Ulix Pinball Store and Arcade that's in Monroe, Michigan, and it's in a mall. And they streamed it. I think it's Yipsy Pinball. They streamed it. It was crazy, craziest thing. That was a neat place to go. But I've not. But when I was there, people asked me if I've been to the VFW. I said no, I've not. And I don't think I'll have time for that this year or pinball at the zoo. I like to go to those things though.
Um,
Clay, another one. I've got a whole bunch.
yeah, let's talk about what are your favorite, like if you could only go to 5 or 6 events, I mean, where are you going across
Well,
the
if money was no issue,
Sure, let's just have fun with it.
oh, I would go back to the UK Open in a heartbeat because it was a very brutal format that I don't like the card format, but I would go back because I had such a fun time and it was a great trip all in all. So I guess that's less about pinball.
No,
Wormhole
that's okay. Pinball's all about it's all inclusive. It's not just the place, it's the people.
Pinball. I would like to. I would like to do either like I think ZapCon in Arizona, or I would like to go play a tournament at Emono Harney's new pinball palace that she opened. There's like so many cool locations. I'd like to go play Free Play Florida,
Yeah.
um, get out to Colorado and check out. There's a huge scene there. Oh my gosh, we have to talk about Seattle and Washington and the scene that's out there. There's so many great places to go play. Uh, I
My
mean, it's like,
problem is I keep having people on the podcast and then they say, "Hey, when are you coming over here?" So now I've already committed myself somehow to Germany. I'm going to Memphis and check out uh, Slipstream. I'm going to this, and my wife's looking at me like, "What are you talking about? You're not going to these places."
well, last year I did do a little bit of traveling. I was able to go to Sweden and the UK, and I had a fun time. I also went to North Carolina, South Carolina at the beginning of the year and played a couple tournaments. What I found is I like to travel as Rachel as a person, and pinball. I found last year in 2023 that it was really fun to travel to different places I've never been in the world. And then I kind of played pinball by proxy. Like that was the secondary to the point of the trip. So the point was like I went to North Carolina and spent 2 nights on the side of the mountain, literally river coming off the mountain. It was beautiful. This tiny little cabin. It was amazing with no reception, nothing, away from everybody. It was great. But then I also traveled down the mountain and played a bunch of tournaments because they're in the area. So it's like for me, it's getting the balance of the pinball pinball stress and fun.
Yeah.
Pinball can be stressful, right? But also getting the fun of a new adventure, a new ground under my feet, that kind of thing.
Me and Tim and John Spates, we kind of make up the guys of the wormhole, if you will, and we went on a river trip to Idaho, and
Nice.
our 5 days, no cell, no nothing. What did we do when we got out? Well, we went to the Idaho Pinball Museum, and we went that night. And Rachel, we were so darn tired. I felt so bad. They opened it up and they were doing tech night, so we like kind of uh came in on their tech night, and we can only last like 45 minutes. We were so darn tired, but that's
That's
a
so.
neat place. That's a neat place. There's just so many, right? There's so many
Oh,
neat places.
I
And
went to the Appalachian Pinball Museum, the Asheville Pinball Museum. There's even the one that's in Las Vegas. That's a good pinball museum too. If you look at it as a museum versus an arcade, there's some just really neat places to play. It's kind of like Pokemon, like collect them all. I want to play them all.
are you going anywhere in 2024? Any other place? Where are you planning to go this year?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get to Arizona, April or May, and I'm going to go play Hangar Pinball in Tulsa. I'm pretty sure it's Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mhm.
They are having an event in early July, and I put that on my calendar. There's some guys that came up to District 82, and they're like, "We're doing this thing, and it's going to be our first, or maybe it's a annual big tournament. It's coming up, and we'll invite you." And sure enough, they sent me a guy. The organizer sent me a real nice invitation to go play it. So I'm going to get that set on the calendar. Um, I'm going to try to. I'll probably travel a little bit to Iowa or Michigan or Minnesota this this year. I have to laugh a little bit because after playing Women's State this year, I've decided maybe I should go try to punch my ticket in another state so that I can go play the nationals tournament. So I mean that's revealing my hand a little bit, but if you pay attention to anybody's IFPA page, you'll know that they're, obviously playing in other places. So I think that that's going to be like some of the short-term goals. But I'm very excited. And most of all is that I'm going to come down to Houston. So that's in November.
That's awesome. That is
Yeah,
awesome. What do you
yeah.
attribute to pinball's growth over the last since you've seen it in 2019? What do you attribute, especially on the streaming end, on all of it?
To the growth, what do I attribute to the growth of pinball?
Yeah, what's going on? We've gotten a lot more popular, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that it's definitely gotten popular. I think that it is maybe people are looking for something to do that's social, or people are, or maybe pinball machines, because there's been a resurgence and in terms of them being routed and on location, then maybe more people are running into a pinball machine at their local bar, pizzeria, laundromat, mall. They're like, what's this pinball thing, So I think that could be part of it. I really don't know. I don't know if I could really say anything about the impact of, I mean, besides like iPinball being on the front page of Twitch,
Yeah,
that's
that was pretty cool.
really cool, 10,000 views. But like, I don't know if any of as much as we all love the pinball content, I don't think that the pinball content really makes a dynamic impact to the rest of the world. So I don't know what it is. Like
I don't know.
maybe it's like somebody is at an estate sale and they see this old, I don't know, like an old EM. They're like, what is this thing? And they take it home and they get bit. I think pinball's also something where it's either you love it or you're just kind of about it. I think either you're crazy about it or you're just, you could take it or leave it. It's one way or the other. What about you?
I think, well, I got hooked by Tim Hood. I mean, he would be, I jokingly call him, he would be a great cult leader if there
Hmm,
was a cult of pinball, because he got me in, he got John Spates, he got so many involved into this, you know, this sport, this hobby, especially the competitive side, because I have no interest in playing competitive pinball. Zero. I just liked hanging out at league nights, watching everyone play and on their phones with this app. It was like 2019, the beginning of 2019. I'm like, what are these guys doing, man? And
yeah,
girls and everyone. And then just, I got hooked. And then they paid my way to a tournament. Like, I just came to watch, and they paid my way and said, no, 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 you're already in. And this guy over here already created this IFPA number. You have to remember this number. And I was like, what is happening? What are you people doing to me, Rachel? I was like, what? And that was it. That was early 2019. And then during COVID, we got really hooked, right? I mean, that's how the wormhole came about. But I don't
I
know.
think
That's what I attribute it to. It's just great people. I was like, there's a hidden community of nice people here that I can hang out with and play these awesome games, and no game is really the same. What?
right. And every game, it's like a puzzle. To me, that's, it's the people, yes, but each game is so unique. And trying to figure out the ball's going to drop this way. Nope, it's going to hit the sling first this time. Or like, just it's the setup and the control and the controlling of chaos. I'm like, I don't know. I like doing puzzles anyway. So for me, it just feels like it's a natural progression. I also like really, really like that there's so many quote unquote youth, a lot of young adults that are playing, which I think that speaks volumes for our hobby, and that there are some really great young players between the ages of like 10 and 15 that can just blow things up. That's so exciting to see there. But I think about that too, but the parents are probably usually involved anyways in pinball, right? And
Yeah.
generally in that, it's not like usually kids like sees on Xbox there's like some kind of pinball thing, they're like, I want to go play a real one. I don't think that works like that, but yeah, it's just such a fun hobby all in all.
How did you get into commentating, Rook? Let's shift to your commentating and your commentating, and how did you get into this podcast? Because you're featured on Poor Man's podcast, right?
Yeah, the Ray Show.
And the Ray Race. Okay, so yeah, talk to me. How did this all come about?
Okay. So, and I think it was like, was it late summer of 2020? People were kind of itching for content pinball stuff and staying at home. And we all masked up and they played. It was a very small tournament that they ran at District 82. It was a pin skins. It was 4 players and it was streamed. And Tom asked if I wanted to come do commentary in the booth, and it was three and it was actually, that's the first day that I met the poor men of the Poor Man's Pinball podcast were there, Ian and Drew. And it was funny because the three of us actually had a really good rapport about commentary, and then I didn't really know who these guys were, and I just had so much fun doing that. And the encouragement from Tom was, like if you wanted to come into the booth to come do it. And I'm like, well, okay. But I feel like I'm such an idiot because a rookie Rachel, really, not an idiot, rookie Rachel,
Hmm.
because I had no idea really how most of these games, there's 115 games there. I don't know how they all play. I don't know all the rules. I still don't know how the super mega fancy bonus works on Harlem Globetrotters. I don't know, and so to me, it seems so scary and overwhelming. But he's like, you just come on in, we learn together. And he's so right because chat is also got to thank all my people in chat. If you're listening to this, I love you and I appreciate you so much because you're always there for me. And I also really love the people that say, Rachel, you sound tired. I'm like, yep, I sure am. That means I need to get out of the booth and take a walk. It's like that's part of it. So I just caught the bug. And when the first Super Series came around, I just thought this would be such a great learning opportunity. So it's such a selfish thing. So I said to Tom, I'm like, I'll come commentate for the whole thing. And so I did. And I did that for 3 years. And it was, again, so much fun. And I learned so much. Tom just trusted me.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. And then in turn, because I met Ian and Drew, I became part and I started listening to their podcast. And I became part of the Poor Man's Pinball Tribe. And because of that, the tribe members, there's 40-ish of us. And I thought it was interesting to get to know these other people that are in the tribe that are just some people are just generic everyday people in the best of ways, and we also have people that play cool instruments. There's people that are designers, pinball designers, just a wide variety of different people. So Tim Lee, my co-host of Tribe Multiball, we got together and we did a whole bunch of podcasts interviewing the different tribe members. Just it's like to get to know the other friends that also enjoy the same silly commentary of the Poor Man's Pinball podcast. So what a cool ass opportunity that was. After the first Super Series, second Super Series, I think, first or second, doesn't matter. I was talking to Raymond, and that was right after I think Tri Multiball came out. And Raymond came into the booth the very first, I think it was the first Super Series. He came into the booth, sat down, and I didn't knew who he was. I'm still a new player, and it freaked me out. And he's like, and like I introduced myself. He goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, you're Rachel, try multi-ball. I'm like, my jaw, like, ah, Jamie, I'm
Cool.
still, I'm still a fangirl. But anyways, I eventually worked up my nerve to ask him if he would like to do a podcast specifically about competitive pinball. He had his Do or Die podcast that he had done for a long time, but I thought it'd be interesting to have the commentary from, champion of a player versus me at the time, really rookie Rachel. And so we created a podcast called The Ray Show, and that's on the Poor Man's Pinball Network as well. You can just Google that if you so desire. I'm really proud of that because we give, I think, rules about different games. We talk about the pinball travels and shows and tournaments and things that we go to. And it's really fun. I really enjoy doing that. I hope people give a listen to that too. And hopefully it helps you with your game. And also, the biggest thing about that is I think that it helps us with our mental game. Like, I like to ask Raymond, or he'll, or I'll talk about this happened, but my head is saying this. And like, how do I do it? How do I do this? And because pinball is more than just rules and skills, it's also about the brain and about keeping your brain at zen, right?
Hmm.
So hard. At least for me, that's the way that I look at it. So that's
Yeah.
how I got very into the podcasting. Just it's kind of bonkers because I never thought in a million years that I'd have not one but two podcasts about pinball. It's so cool. And then to be here on another podcast talking about pinball. It's just the neatest thing.
I think you do a phenomenal job on that podcast, especially in the beginning and even going forward of how you pick his brain. I love when you pick his brain because here we have a top 10 player in the world and you're asking him questions that we all want to know, especially if we're, trying to get better. And you just the rapport you two have is outstanding. So congratulations on that and finding a good partner on the mic. It's really awesome.
Yeah, he's great, and we've really finally figured out how to narrow it down to right around an hour. It's hard because there's sometimes so much stuff you really want to talk about, the ups and the downs of it, yeah, and the bad digs that you have, the comebacks. So sometimes it's hard to whittle it down. But I have to also thank Tim Lee because he edits that, and he has edited 12 episodes for the Ray Ray Show, and I just really appreciate that. I couldn't do anything without the help of other people, right?
No, you got to have a team. I have my boy Donovan and all these guys that really help me and get the wormhole where we're trying to get it. So it's awesome. What else you have coming up? Any more podcasts you want to do? You start a TV show? Are you doing anything else there? Or
Oh no, TV show. Well, I mean, if someone's willing to pitch the right thing,
it would be
I
good for a documentary, a pinball documentary about 82, because I've never been to 82.
oh,
And
uh,
so, with all the grief that I'm giving you about not being the wormhole, I have got to get a couple of wormholers up to 82. We got to do it.
absolutely, and I'll roll out the red carpet. It really is such a phenomenal place to play. What I should plug is I do run Ladies Slip Wisconsin, which is a traveling pinball tournament series. When I first started playing, there wasn't any bells and chimes or women's pinball or anything near me, and and I also realized that out of 50 players, that only five of us were women. So I thought, well, we really need to grow the hobby and get more women into it because I'm having a heck of a lot of fun. A barrel of fun, would you say? I'm having such a great time that I just decided I jumped up this thing and I asked a couple different people, will you host something if I put it together? And like, sure. So here we are a couple of years later, and I really enjoy it. Been able to grow the hobby a little bit that way. Friends, women that are into the hobby invite their friends, and I do try to post about it. But I'm still trying to find a way to crack into like the more generic public in order to get more women into the hobby. But lest I digress, I'm
It's
running.
coming. It's coming. Our Bells and Chimes chapter here and the other women chapters throughout Texas are growing exponentially. So that's
It's
really good.
definitely growing. It's a slow, I feel sometimes at a snail's pace, but then sometimes I think maybe I can do better too. But I'm just so happy to even provide the opportunity for women's pinball. That makes me feel good. Uh, that helped. Like, there wouldn't be a lot of women at women's state. They'd only have 8 players, or would it be? It wouldn't be what it is, without being able to provide access to those type of tournaments.
And no
So
question, we're
yeah,
we're a huge ally of women pinball here at the Wormhole, and especially on this podcast. Like 1 in 5, I really want to be women players and important women in pinball is who I.
yeah, absolutely. I think that those are all great goals. But I am running my largest tournament of the year. Will
Okay.
be May 18th. It's Ladies Flip District 82. It's a women's. I'm building a women's weekend slowly but surely. But on Saturday, May 18th, I'm going to do a double header. It'll be a 13 round match play, followed by a. I think that I did a 5 strike classic knockout last year. So it'll be the same thing following it because there's so many beautiful classic games there. And those are my two favorite style tournaments to play. And then Friday night, Erica's open. District 82 is open for Flippin' Friday. And I also have now secured a second location on Sunday at the Pinball Barn on a Farm. Some friends of mine that there's a nice collection that they open up. They're going to open up on that Sunday, so February 18th and 19th. I'll hopefully have 3 women's tournaments. So I'm very excited to add that one more tournament in. I have no idea the style of play, maybe max match play. I'm still kind of in the dreaming stage of that portion, but getting rolling on that, getting rolling. So anyways, so if there's any women that are out there looking to come to District 82 to play for the first time, and you want to play an open tournament on Friday and play a bunch of pinball all day on Saturday there, please holler at me, message Ladies Flip or message me or email me ladiesflipwi@gmail.com. I would love to have you. So I think
Oh,
it's good.
that's awesome. I'm so excited that you're coming back to Houston. In fact, in the Space City Open, there's a spot next to me to commentate. Now, I obviously want you to try to win the darn thing.
Yeah.
But if you
I'll try.
don't win the thing, I've already promised the finals away, but semifinals or come sit next to me because I think we would be great on the mic together.
Oh, I think so too. I would love to do that. I think it's such a, again, such a fun opportunity. Anytime that folks ask me to come do commentary with them, I'm like, this is great. That's great because I get to learn something new. And usually it's often a game that's new to me. I'm like, okay, so now you tell me. Like
Yeah.
you, I'm also the for my third year in a row, I'm organizing the Midwest Pinball Championship at the Midwest Gaming Classic. So it's really the Midwest Gaming Classic Pinball Championship at MGC. That's in Milwaukee, the first weekend in April. I do plug that because if you are somebody that's traveling to the show in the Midwest region, if you bring a game, it helps you so much in order for access to that show. It's not a pinball expo, but all the pinball manufacturers are generally there. And I run an open tournament that's only 80 players, and I think that opens March 2nd. The pre-registration opens for that, so it's kind of cutthroat, but it's a fun tournament. And it's just like we do 5 rounds of match play, and then we do like a three strike finals afterwards. Two sessions of people. It's just because it's just a different setting or whatever. But I wanted to plug that because Midwest Gaming Classic is just really, it's more than pinball. You can play a whole bunch of tabletop games. There's panels, cosplay. It's just a really cool thing. And pinball is kind of like a little cherry on top. Uh, I think Scott Denisi is there usually
Oh, I
spinning.
love Scott Denisi.
Yeah, it goes on. So that's like my closest big expo or party, this spring. And if you're also interested in coming to play or volunteer
Hmm.
for volunteers, I mean, I gotta just plug it, Jamie.
Gotta get volunteers, okay?
Yeah,
Because it takes a village to run these tournaments. It takes a village. You need TDs, you need rig, you need whatever, for me.
I need 16 pinball machines and I need 10 volunteers. And out of those volunteers, I need about four of those to be TDs because I organize it and do all the things, but I don't play it. I don't TD because it's just easier if I don't.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I carve it
absolutely.
out. So,
Uh,
but people always step up. So, anyways, that's Midwest Gaming Classic. First weekend in April 2024. Those are my big things coming up. I'm very
fun.
excited for them.
Last question for you. You think we can get a spot at Pimberg? If you got a spot, would you go?
Well, I'm not going to try for a spot, but if I got a spot, would I go? And it's only how many people this year? 100?
So
100 maybe. It's not a lot. If 100 people and it's a random draw of people that go and I know that I got a ticket, I would probably go.
I would
And
love.
I go to Pinburg. And I say that because I don't want to know that like, Raymond's going to be there to play as much as I love him. I wouldn't want to play against him because it's a small, not a lot of people means it's a smaller, it's not a lot of people with a lot of good players means it's a smaller opportunity for me to do anything
Oh,
as a competitor.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I just want to go for the spectacle that is, you know.
Uh, I'd rather I'd rather go cry at Indisc. And I mean that so affectionately, but that scares me. That's like a much harder monetary card format.
I
And
don't I just can't do the card format. I would be way too nervous. I would get four scores in and the fifth I would choke.
oh yeah, or like you have two bad games and you're like, I guess I'm just gonna finish the card because I should experiment and play those other games.
Right. Just card. I would literally have a panic attack on the floor at Indisc if I had to do the card system. And so what's the point of that? I don't need to up my meds. I'm just not there yet,
Right, right. Uh,
right?
right. And I think if Pinburg was 1,000 people, yes. If Pinburg was 300 people, yes. I would definitely, then it would be hands down, no worries. But I think the smaller amount of people, it makes me nervous, a little bit more nervous because I'm like, I'm probably not going to do that great. And if I'm going to I want to see the spectacle and all of that, but I have to see, like, I have to think about Rachel as the competitive player and where am I buying my whoppers, basically? Where am I spending my money in order to get my points? And so, what's going to be the most conducive for me to earn, or where is the best place for me to get those points in terms of the other players and that kind of thing? So, as much as that sucks to have to say that, I do have to put that to consideration if I play something like Pinburg at with the current capacity. But I will say I'm super excited for them. I never had an opportunity to go to the first one for or the original OG. So to me, I think that in a couple of years, once they really get blown rolling away, I can't wait to make it out there.
Yeah,
So
no question. That's going to be
oh,
incredible. And one of the things that we're going to be trying to build here is our Bayou Bash, which is our October tournament that is mandatory costume. It's a Halloween Bayou Bash. We do a 3-day event, and that might be something that we try
I
to
do
get you.
I do have a roadshow red costume.
Well, I mean, it's mandatory, so you'd have to pack it in the bags. You would have to do it, but we'll talk about that some other time. Please listen to Rachel wherever podcast media can be streamed and downloaded. You're absolute delight. I knew this would be a great podcast. Thank you so much. Of course, you can contact Wormhole at wormholepinball@gmail.com for rental. You can follow us on Twitch and YouTube. And of course, Fox Cities Pinball. Please follow Fox Cities. They are honestly one of the best streaming of competitive pinball that there is. There's three of the goats, and I finally got my
Thank,
trilogy.
thank you, Jamie, so much for the opportunity to be here. I really enjoyed my time chatting with you, and thank you for letting me share my passion about pinball. Love you
Oh,
so much.
you're lovely. Thank you so much, and I knew that would come across so easily. So thank you so much, Rachel. You take care, and what an absolute pleasure.
You too. All right, take care. Curly hair.
I don't know. I don't know if you're going to win the curly hair contest with me. You have some curly hair, but
Well, I'm not in a contest. I just want to see it because I didn't know you had. Oh.
no. I just make everything into a contest, Rachel. I can't help myself.
Oh, well, bring it on. Bring